This low view YouTube channel that's not even monetized allowed me to make $166,000 in a single month here. Achieving this is called the mirror, and it all comes down to understanding that your brand should be a reflection of you. Something that a guy like Iman Gadzhi has understood, documenting his life from the age of 17 all the way to now being 25 years old, and a guy like Alex Hormozi has understood for the last 5 years, documenting the process of him scaling his business. And this is something that the elite level content creators all get and all implement, but they really just don't want to share it because it's really the secret that they actually use to get results. And I've done the exact same thing accidentally at first with my business partner here. We did a documentary series scaling our business and just documenting the entire process of what that actually looked like. As a result of this, we hit our first $100,000 in a 30-day period. And then here, when I documented my entire life for 30 days here to actually launch my personal brand, and it allowed me to cash collect a whopping $42,000 completely from scratch, again, on a low view personal brand. And this is something that you can do even if you have absolutely no experience at all. And it doesn't require you to create content. That is a myth that has been sold to you by people who actually just don't really understand how the people that stick around and make the millions and millions of dollars in this industry actually operate. You do not want to create content. What you want to do instead is you want to document. If you go back all the way here to looking at this image of the mirror, you need to understand that your personal brand is a reflection of you. And the best part about this is that you here is what the viewer sees in themselves. So the viewer sees you in themselves. And then as a result of that, your transformation here and what you see in the mirror documenting instead of creating content is what creates the brand. It's what makes you magnetic. It's what pulls people to you and actually builds you a long-term following. The first step to doing this yourself is understanding that your brand operates in the exact same way that a cult operates here. Really, the fundamentals are the same. You have to have an attractive character. You have to have a compelling vision. So, attractive character. You have to have a compelling vision for the future. You have to have core beliefs about what you actually cover. And then the most important part that a lot of people mess up on is you have to have an enemy here. Now, if you look at the most popular brands in the world, going back to the examples here of guys like Iman and Hormozi, they have the exact same thing. An example of Iman that I'll give here is he's the attractive character, being that he comes from a single mother household and he's gone from the rag to riches journey pretty much from absolutely nothing and shared his journey of meditation, manifestation, all of these things, and actually creating it into something that is relatable that people can connect to. The next thing here is the actual vision. So the vision for his future is all the goals that he set out to. He's been somebody that outwardly stated his goals when it comes to gaining revenue, whether that was making his first $10,000 a month, whether that was making his first 100,000, millions, and all the way to the point today where he's now talking about trying to become a billionaire. And getting back to the actual attractive character here, another thing that he does is he often tries to make himself appear as though he is on the level of his viewer. And this is not a bad thing, however. It is something that is to be kept in mind. He says, I'm no smarter than you. I'm a slow learner. I'm all these things. And it's really just tactics used to make yourself appear as an attractive character. Now, the next thing is the vision, which is the goals that he sets out for himself, and then the core fundamental beliefs that he has. One of these that I think you've probably heard a lot, you have to have time freedom, you have to have location freedom, and you have to have income freedom and financial freedom. And that's something that core beliefs of his SMMA business model that allowed him to probably make the majority of the $100 million he's generated from selling products online is just by pushing these core beliefs here and comparing them in many, many different examples. He's done examples like comparing doctors and athletes and showing how they don't cross off all these boxes here because they don't have the time and the location, even if they have the financial freedom. And he makes all these comparisons to actually hammer down the core beliefs of his brand. And then finally, he has the enemies. And this is something along the lines of he's had puppet masters, he has had colleges, he's had post-secondary education, and really he checks all the boxes here of having a good cult, which again, if we actually paid attention, is the exact same thing as a very good brand. And you can look at the most compelling figures in the world and you'll see this characteristic repeated true and true again. The factor towards doing this is authenticity. And I want you to imagine authenticity as a ratio of how transparent you actually are and almost how blurry the mirror is of what you're actually sharing in your life. Now, if you were to be 100% transparent, you'd have absolutely no privacy and you'd be living life like the Kardashians opinions on all those people, which isn't very fun. However, in direct correlation to the amount of authenticity you have is the actual direct correlation to the amount of trust you have. So the trust is very relevant to the transparency. And what that actually means is that in the process of us growing our business, again, we do not need to create content. We just need to document what is going on in our own lives. And where that actually comes into play is, well, what do you actually talk about? What are the video ideas that you cover? And it all comes down to setting a future vision for yourself. Once you've casted a future vision, which is the selfish goals that you have for your own future, completely disregarding the viewer, oftentimes it's going to be what the viewer actually wants for their own life. So then as a result of you actually sharing how you're going to go through and achieve that, they're able to parasocially connect with you, live through you, and then as a result of when you actually achieve it, learn from you in order to do the exact same thing. And that's where you make the money with the low view microchannels, as I'll tie this whole thing in. Talking about this future vision here, you want to make it relevant to whatever actual goals that you want to achieve in your own life. For some of you, this is all along the lines of just business and making more income. So you have certain money goals that you want to reach. Maybe there's a certain car that you want to buy. A great example, if you've been online recently, is a dude named Brez Scales. He does a great job of just sharing the cars that he wants to buy, the money that he wants to make. And because of that, a lot of people that share that exact same selfish benefit get to actually see and again live through him parasocially, and then as a result want to actually learn from him. Now there's other examples. If you're in a little bit different of a field, maybe you're in the fitness space, you can look at a guy like Sam Sulek. You just get to a certain level of jacked where people aspire to be built like you and actually have the desired result like you. But the most important thing here is that you have permission to be selfish with these desires. And then as a result, when you're actually going about creating all this content online, you don't feel as though you're trying to arbitrarily teach or feel any imposter syndrome at all, because you're not actually trying to tell people what to do like you're some high up, high and mighty person here or some big guru. All you were doing is sharing what is going on in your day-to-day life. And this is so strong when you do it, because again, that authenticity here in direct correlation to the amount that you can share is going to shine through. And then as a result, when you actually climb the ladder of achieving things and become the person worthy of actually having this status up here, instead of it being this big gap where you just show up on the internet and you're telling people what to do, you have documented step by step by step by step by step by step. And now there is absolute undeniable proof that you are who you say you are, and that other people can learn from you in order to get the exact same place, which means again that they're able to get the desired result that you have all the way up here. And it means that you can use that to propel yourself to the next level, and the stairs just keep on going. It's almost like you're walking upstairs and you're carrying a rope behind you, feeding it to people and pulling them up to where you are now as you're pulling on the rope of other people that you're learning yourself, almost like climbing the ladder of capitalism here. And whatever you think of it, it will make you a lot of money. Asking, how does this tie into YouTube? And just as a side thing, if you comment on this video and you already have a channel, or you share your niche that you're actually trying to get into, I'll give you a full review and give you my thoughts on exactly how I'd implement it for you specifically. However, the idea of YouTube and actually implementing this entire series of actually documenting and not creating comes down to what I like to call a micro channel system here. You do not need views anymore to actually get famous online. The algorithms that we see on Google, Facebook, all across all platforms have gotten so good at finding the right kind of person. And again, this is especially relevant on YouTube here, where you see channels that might get 100 views per video, yet directly in profit are signing $10,000 deals off the back, again, of the trust that they are creating as a result of the videos that they actually post on the channel here. So they post videos and they repeat this process on a frequent basis. And as a result, they create trust. And then when you create trust, what that goes into is it creates pent up demand. And demand is something that needs to be channeled. Typically, when someone receives value from you, their immediate demand is going to be to watch more videos. So initially, someone receives value, they're going to watch more videos from you. That's the first kind of demand. As they begin to watch more videos from you, the next layer of demand might be they follow you on other socials, on Instagram. They start to learn more about you. They start to know, like, and trust you. And then from that point on, the people that are really smart are able to actually take this demand and they're able to turn that here into offers. When someone creates the demand and they actually turn it into an offer, this is where you see the ability to actually monetize and make money off the back of it. So pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to use the likability and the trust that you actually have, and you're going to channel it into what I like to call an undesirable result that somebody can achieve as a result of actually watching the content and getting value from what you were saying. If we go back to the example of Iman, he was teaching people the habits that he was talking about. He was sharing his journey of how he did things. And as a result, all that pent up, again, demand and likability that he actually created then got channeled into the business model of SMMA, which he would teach people with his program, Agency Navigator, and then make a fortune doing so. The best part in doing this is if you actually look at the unit economics, meaning the amount of people that you need to convince in order to make the money that you want to make, it is usually a lot less underwhelming, or sorry, a lot less overwhelming than you'd actually imagine. So for example, let's actually do a breakdown here. You are charging, let's call it $5,000 for a product, which is very fair if you're in more of the make money online niche. Let's even scratch that and say you're charging for a product that costs $2,500, much cheaper and can be relevant to niches like fitness and pretty much affordable by anyone in the US market. Again, if you make that end desirable result valuable enough. So if we're charging at $2,500 and we just want to make our mark here and get started to make our first $10,000 a month online, we need to sell 4 people a month. And it's literally that simple. So if we do the math on that, we're posting, let's call it 1 video per day. So that is going to be 30 videos throughout an entire month, assuming that on average, each video is actually going to go ahead and get 300 views. 30 times 300, let's count, that would be 9,000 views here. So out of 9,000 views, all you have to do is you need to convince 4 people to go through and to click on some form of funnel and get onto a call with you where you can explain to them the services of what you do. Now, when you actually look at the ratios of how this functions, it goes a little bit even more granular. So to explain what I mean, 9,000 people might not just go ahead and watch you and then 4 will just immediately buy off that. 9,000 people might watch you. From that, you might be able to get, let's call it here, 300 subscribers. And then off of these 300 subscribers, maybe let's call it 50 of them can go ahead and actually receive some form of free training from you or some kind of resource that they actually get from you. So just over 1 a day. Let's say you contact all those people and you're able to actually book in calls with call around 15 of them. And from that point on these calls, you're actually only able to convince 4 of them to move forward with you here. And that's assuming you're only getting 300 views per video, which as you begin to just continually dedicate time into YouTube, it's actually going to compound on your audience. Because the best part is that these 300 subscribers roll into next month. So your first month, you might only have growth like this, but then those next 300 guys will join. And then the month after that, the next 300 guys will join, and it just gets hockey stick growth where it exponentially compounds and you make lots and lots of money. All because instead of focusing on creating content and talking from some super high pedestal, all you did was focus on the obsession of literally just how can I provide value and document my process. So I hope that the value you got from this video is worth the time that you spent in return. And I have never not responded to a comment on my YouTube channel. So I'm looking forward to hearing the niches and doing some channel reviews in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one.